Defiant Games 2025 review.
Brilliant.
So what we're going to do is we sent an anonymous feedback survey, anonymous request for feedback out after the Defiant Games, and we're going to go through the feedback live. So I've not seen any of this, so this will be a fix your skin job, I think. But just before we go into it, just want to say thank you to everyone that came.
Massive thank you.
It was my favourite one so far. I think it went really well. Didn't really get much negative feedback on the day except for one person that I spoke to. Wonder if they filled the survey in actually. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think all the crew were amazing. The athletes were amazing. The workouts seemed to hit really well. So Matt did a great job with that. And yeah, I think I just had loads of fun. Like on the day, I think everyone seemed to come with the spirit that we wanted them to.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just thank you. So
amazing.
Let's get into the bones of it. So how many responses have we got?
You want me to go through all of them?
No, but I'll just ask you.
15.
Oh, well,
not too bad.
Not bad.
Okay, what did you like most about the event was the first question.
No, well, that's good then, because I'm probably not going to have to argue any of this.
Do you want me to just run through one by one?
Yeah, let's go.
Well organised and good workouts.
One for Matt.
Atmosphere. Organisation and atmosphere / music.
Lance always smashes it. Well, on decks anyway. Everything else is a bit hit and fucking miss.
The workouts were good, nice and short, well organised and bang on time. Music, MC and Defiant volunteers were great. Timed and organised well, varied workouts. Ran smoothly, the day flew by. Event 1 was great. Should you use the running track more?
Interesting.
Timing's on point, general good organisation, clarity and guidance. Great atmosphere, challenging but accessible workouts. The atmosphere on the day. I was very nervous about being in that environment, but it was all very pleasant, not intimidating or overly competitive as I had feared. Atmosphere, venue and workouts. Inclusive but challenging workouts. The judges. I thought the event was really well structured. The events were hard but accessible. The atmosphere was brilliant. That you felt like an athlete, but also ate pizza, danced, laughed, and got to give things a go, knowing you didn't need to worry if you got them wrong.
That's not.
That was really good.
What I like about that is that feedback has sort of encapsulated exactly what we try and deliver.
Yeah.
We want the atmosphere to be relaxed. If you want to take it serious, you can. But if you want to go and have fun, the emphasis is clearly on the fun.
But that's the market we were trying to go after.
And like Lance and Sam as a combo, they're absolutely brilliant. Sam's great at encouraging, but having a bit of banter, he rides that line, and I like that. I'd push him over the line if I could, because, and Lance is just, he mixes all day. Like he talked about on the podcast he came on, he wasn't just pressing play. He's reading the vibe. He knows what the workouts are, and he plays the right songs, so it creates that. And the judges, like some of our judges, they were nervous as hell about coming because some of them hadn't done it before.
It was their first one,
Yeah, so like, then they ease into it, which lets the athletes ease into it, and they all just, so I love that.
Amazing. Right, next one. What did you like least about the event?
Oh,
there we go. Some athletes scaled the dumbbells.
Ready to fight.
Some athletes scaled the dumbbells and thrusters and were scored higher than those teams that didn't. Needs to be marked clearly by the judge and scored correctly, otherwise we'd chuck lighter weights about.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, that probably is fair, because one of the things we do, because we allow people to scale, is the scorecards have to be marked, and we have a section at the bottom of the scorecards. So I think moving forward, we'll mitigate that by putting the section right at the top in big letters.
Yeah.
And then
weights used.
Then it'll be easy to, well, it just say scaled or not, because there's only ever one scaling option.
Yeah.
So that'll mitigate that. So that's quite an easy fix. So that's good feedback.
Okay. Score of 0 when scaled.
I don't like that. I don't think we're going to score people a 0 for scaling. We want people to come. So the reason for that, I think it's an idea to put forward, but we don't want people to score 0.
No, but that's what they liked least.
So
well, they've got a score of 0 when scaled.
I don't. I spoke to a team that thought they had, but when we looked at their time, they just had the correct time as per the scale. So no one should have scored a 0. So if that happened, then that's on us, and we've made a mistake there. So apologies for that, because that absolutely shouldn't happen.
Not many stores or protein shakes or bars, samples.
So, yeah, well, we weren't allowed food and drink. So that was nothing to do with us. And from a store's point of view, Kathy from Rebel last minute got a bit of an injury, which meant she weren't able to come along and set a stall up. So she was supposed to be there on top of the guys we had. So yeah, maybe one more vendor would have been good, but.
Standard of judging was unacceptable. Yes, it's fun, but there has to be a standard. Those doing it correctly getting punished. We've all paid good money to compete. The standards in the DT and run especially. The barbell cycling was dreadful. I had to take a video as I couldn't believe it, and I witnessed at least 6 athletes cut the top corner of the athletic track, one just beating another to the line, one who didn't cut the corner. All in all, we had a great day, but felt let down by this.
Right. So this is the guy that I spoke to on the day, because I can tell by what he's wrote.
Right.
And I just think that, one, get a life, right? I know you're going to be mad at me for saying that, but I said something similar to him on the day. Like, if you're detracting from your experience by caring what everyone else is doing, saying I even videoed it, like, and I watched 6 people do this. Like, just enjoy yourself, mate. Like I said on the day, I listened to this guy, and after a while, he just wanted to moan. So, like, I just dismissed him, because everyone's there to have fun. If you're watching someone else work out and determine that they're doing it wrong, they might not be able to complete that movement. So, like, if you look at some of the athletes that were there, Craig Wright's a great example, an incredible athlete. Can't lock out his right arm because of a shoulder issue. What if you're watching him? He doesn't know that guy's. Ethan, his lockout doesn't look like a lockout because of his massive arms. But it's just those things. You don't know what's happening. So the judges were told to be lenient because we want everyone to complete the day. We want everyone to have fun. And if people are that invested in what other people are doing rather than enjoying their day, like if you're saying I even videoed some because I couldn't believe it, but to what end? And like I said to you, if it is the same person on the day, like, what do you want me to do? Because one, the moment's gone. Do you want me to remove their score based on something you've said that I've not seen? Because that wouldn't be fair. Do you want me to give you bonus points for telling me you did it right when I didn't see you do it right? And that's what I mean about this. So I don't sound like I'm being a bit of a dick here, but I just think, don't detract from your experience by caring what everyone else is doing. Everyone was there to have fun. If somebody maybe skirted a standard and a judge didn't catch it, does it matter? We weren't giving away places to the CrossFit Games. We weren't giving away £10,000 to first place. Like, your day should have been your day. And I accept that there were instances when we caught them, me and the head judge, where people were skirting the standards and we intervened. But it shouldn't be that much of a thing that it's made you that angry, because when he spoke to me about it, he just wouldn't leave it. I was like, I don't know what you want me to say. So in the end, I dismissed him, because to me, and you'll not like me for saying this, but if that person doesn't want to come back next year because of that, then that's fine. I'd rather they didn't come back, because they're not coming with the spirit of what we're trying to create. So if somebody's angry about somebody else's work that they don't even know, then I can't help them. And I'm not going to try to, and I'm not going to bend over for them. Okay.
Maybe one event too many.
Yeah, that was interesting, that actually, because I put something on our story yesterday. And loads of votes. So I said, workout wise, one too many, one too few, or just right. And, we had 90 votes for just right. And the second place was one more. They wanted one more. But one bit of feedback I got off the back of that, which was interesting and fair, was I don't like floating workouts because they're always off the floor and not everyone can watch them. And that is a good point, because, they are in the back corner. Although we did set it up so people could watch around it. But the nature of that is we do the floating workout to give you one more workout. We can't do it on the floor, because otherwise it'd just be a workout and then we eat into the day, and then you maybe not leave until 5, 6. And it gets a bit of a long day. So that's the reasoning for the floating workout. But we're going to look at how we can change that a bit next year, and make it more part of the day. So I've got a few ideas about that.
Could have done with the first aid point.
Yeah, well, the venue provide first aid.
And they did when we needed it.
Yeah, so yeah.
Donut stall left before the end.
Yeah, they sold out. It was buzzing. It was buzzing.
Inconsistent referee standards we've covered. Sometimes felt like very long wait times between workouts and heats, particularly acid bath and the worm. There also seemed to be a rule change in between the heats on DT run. It was never said that one person had to do all 3 runs, but then seemed to be put in place after a few heats were already complete. Yeah,
that was a miss that was my fault. So Matt the workout was written as we implemented eventually, but I didn't make that clear on the scorecards. Now, the reason I didn't make it clear is because I didn't think I'd have to, but what I failed to realize is when people are being competitive, they will find a way, and if it isn't written down, then they'll do it. And I like that idea because I think it's a genius way of doing it. So yeah, that was a bit of a miss. So again, it's something that I'll make sure is briefed better in future. And in terms of the long weights, there's not much you can do with that, and I don't think.
Well, we're going to look at that for next year.
Well, we are, but also it was 90 minutes. That in a comp, that ain't a long wait for 112 teams, I don't think. So it might have appeared a long wait, but that's pretty standard to be 90 minutes between workouts. It was just faster in the afternoon because the workouts were shorter. But, I don't think you can really get around that. You've got to get everybody through. We didn't have too many teams. So, yeah.
A lot of time, that was the same. No, not much to moan about. If I was nitpicking, I'd say there was a lack of lunch options. Only the pizza place. That said, they were very decent.
And again,
that wasn't all. Yeah.
And the next one there, no decent coffee. So I get that you want to provide that feedback to us, but I constantly told people on the lead up that this is why, and the venue just wouldn't let us have more than the pizza. They wouldn't let us do coffee. They promised they'd man the canteen properly, which they didn't, which we've provided feedback to them on. Frustrating because we knew that was going to be the feedback about the coffee and such like, and it's just, we feel your pain, you know what I mean? I could have done with coffee on day.
Absolutely, I needed a few.
And even Nocco, we weren't allowed Fit Aid, all those things that we weren't allowed that they didn't provide. It is frustrating because as an athlete or a competitor, whatever we want to call them, you want your whole day to be part of it. And part of doing it is you get your coffee, you have a Nocco halfway through the day, then you have some food. And we only have the pizza option because it's all they'd allow us to do. So we are going to try and negotiate again for next year.
We'll keep trying. What was your favourite workout of the day? The winner by quite a stretch was DT Run.
Except for that one guy, you didn't like it.
In fact, then acid intervals, and then a neck and neck with thrust to the max and worm.
That's a pretty even split. That is really I like that. That's good.
That's good. What would you like to see from Defiant Games next year? Another event, a random event like Broad Echo, so another flow to workout. Scaling. Yeah,
so we need to get better at the scaling section. So I don't want categories. I want everyone to still do the same workout, but we will get better at how we scale. What we'll do is we'll implement there'll only be one scale because the weights will never be challenging. So we want it to be all inclusive and no high scale. So, there'll be the standard 50-35 for men and women, but then we'll implement the scaling standard. We did that this year by giving you an option of the weights rather than letting people do what they wanted. But we just need to make that clear on the judging standards. And then we'll get better at that.
Individual scores as well as a team.
I don't know what that means. No. I guess
a message like on like the machine.
Yeah, on acid bath you could do that, but I think, and I would be interested in my individual score, so I'm with this person, but that's something you're just going to have to do yourself if you want it. Just remember what you got on each one because we can't be doing that and managing that individually.
Big job as it is.
I understand why that person would want it because you're buzzing, aren't you?
Rep standards, which we've covered. Same again. A couple more food vendors. Heavy uncomplex lift.
Heavy uncomplex lift. So the reason that there'll never be a heavy uncomplex lift in is because we're all inclusive. So if we say, right, we're going to start doing 1 rep maxes, then that's not all inclusive to me because one person's going to be lifting 150 kg and one person can't even clean. So I'll never do that just for that reason. Movement standards
explained before events.
Yeah, that's a difficult one because it just eats into your day. If you do a 10-15 minute briefing before each workout, which you have to when all the questions come in, then that's an hour. And would you rather be there again till 5:30, or would you rather actually read the stuff we send out beforehand and leave at 4:30?
Yeah.
That's the...
Okay. More of the same fun stuff, although wasn't a fan of having to carry a team.
Probably on the stretcher.
More of the same, mixed teams, sixes, more DT style workouts. The acid bath, although hard, I found quite boring compared to the other workouts. Similar structure, a coach in the warm-up area for advice and tips.
Yeah, maybe, someone in the warm-up area.
One of the volunteers who...
Yeah, who knows? But then again, you take them from the floor then. Like, I think if I don't know, the briefing
depends on numbers, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, but it's something that if you've got the people, that'd be cool.
Yep. Okay, what event style would you like to see? So neck and neck in front with fitness racing and a different team format. And then we've got multi-day event as the next one, and then a ladies' day.
Ladies' day.
Did you feel well informed on the lead up to and during the event? A resounding 93.3% said yes. If you answered no, please provide feedback. Wasn't sure on the wave times and starts. May have been my fault, but it was difficult to find.
Yeah, so I've got a foot in both camps with that. So yes, it kind of was your fault because it was there, but equally, it was quite. I looked on somebody's score to show them, and I couldn't figure it out. So I've scheduled a call with the guy who runs Team Aritas to give him some feedback on how I think his system could be a little bit more user-friendly. That ain't me being a dickhead. I know him well enough to be able to have that conversation.
Yeah, and he accepts feedback.
And I just think that it's one of those things that you use those systems so infrequently that you forget, and then you come to it the next time. And I think that, because the wave times, I don't know why they presented, because we don't even have waves for any of the workouts, but they're the default thing that came up. So it did confuse people that weren't the heat time. So that's feedback that I'm taking to him to see if we can figure it out. And then, you know, in terms of the information provided, like I know they've had some anecdotal feedback from people. Oh, I couldn't find this, I couldn't find that. Right. This year, because of feedback from previous years, I sent a written email that had everything on. I recorded a podcast so you could listen to it all, and videos so you could watch it. So that's your 5 senses covered without letting you come and smell me or touch me. I don't know what else I could have done. So there was information to read, information to listen to, information to watch. And when you get to the bones of it, if you push those people, the ones that I've pushed have said, hey, I just didn't read it. Well, don't moan about not being provided with information that you've been provided with that you didn't read. You know what I mean? Because there's only, I don't know what more I could do. We've talked about creating a pack, but that'd go out on email. So we'd spend time creating it. If they can't even read the email, the pack's irrelevant, you know? So I don't know. We've
spoke about various things that we might do.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll always try and make it better.
I don't know what more we could do with that, than I get it. If I know we're all busy, so reading emails isn't the easiest. That's why I did the podcast, so they could listen on the way in, because I figured you've all got to drive. It were only 20-minute long. Thought that'd help. But again, I don't know. We put some stuff on socials. We put some stuff on YouTube. We put some stuff on Spotify. And we put it all out via email.
Yeah.
I don't. It's a difficult one.
It is, but we'll keep going.
We will.
What do you think is the warm-up area? Well equipped, good. Much better location this year. Very good, decent, great, good. Nice size, sound, because we spoke about that a few times, didn't we? I was like, I think we need to go one bigger. Sound, well equipped, spacious. Would have been nice to have a bit of room to stretch.
that makes me laugh. Like, you can stretch anywhere. Like, the venue were pretty big.
Spot on, good, really good. Could always get a bit of kit when needed. Like having the way to practice this. Our box doesn't have one. Well equipped, large. It was great. Maybe more space for stretching and band activation work after sitting down for a bit too long. Plus, a floating coach would be helpful for more novice types.
Yeah, I think you know, bring your bands yourself and stretch where you want for that. Like, I get the feedback, but we've equipped that warm-up area with worms, machines, barbells. Like, if you want to go and stretch your calf up against a pole somewhere, go and do that.
Would you prefer a shorter day? So the majority by 40% were yes. Next by not bothered at 33%, and then 26% said no.
That's interesting then. So, because 43%, you know, that's 7 out of the 15, if my maths are correct. So that's interesting, because we're trying to find ways of how we could do that. But I don't think that's resounding one way or the other. I think ideally, because the thing is with a shorter day, I'll go back and forth with this. If we could find a way, which we're doing with the Defiant ones, of getting people in and out in 90 minutes. So if we looked at a model similar to that, a lot of that feedback we've got there is how good the atmosphere was and all that. Do you take away from that by having waves of people that come and go? Does the atmosphere, obviously Sam and Lance will still create the same buzz, but would the people be as invested, you know?
Oh, we'll know when we do this one.
Well, it'll be slightly different, but that's just a question. You don't want to, like, if we are getting them away at R4, and I've got plans to get them away even a touch earlier next year, if we don't, you know, go to this kind of model, it's like, does one detract from the other? And because we are where we are with it and people enjoy it, should we keep it as it is and try and find little ways of just condensing slightly rather than reinventing the wheel and risking losing that bit we've got. Because that's the thing. People stay and watch, and, there was enough people at the end. I bet there was still 100 people at the end for the podiums, which is pretty good. You kind of lose a bit of that, don't you? And it's interesting.
It is. How do we get more spectators to come and cheer you on? More food options, challenges like longest plank or most pull-ups, maybe half price spectator per team member or something. Location was too far to bring any. It's far too long for spectators, too much waiting around. Do challenges, spectators, loudest spectator, most supporting. Not sure, but this would be better IMO. Entertainment stalls for families that appeal to kids and adults, make it a shorter event, more on offer for spectators to do, more coffee or drinks. The below would have been more appealing for my partner and little one, which is the next question. Not sure. More shopping activities around the comp, giving people spectating more to do and explore. More food stalls, access to coffee. £10 all-in package when purchased for unlimited spectators. Prize for the best banner. Is that even a CrossFit thing?
Yeah, so with that, he's talking about package deals for... We didn't charge them. We don't charge spectators. We just asked for a charitable donation that most people conveniently couldn't do. So we'll never charge, because I don't think that, coming to watch someone that you see work out every day should be charged. That's just my opinion on that. When I go to some of these other events and they're like 15 quid to get in, I'm like, what? Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy to me. But so we don't charge, so we can't really do much more with that. The resounding feedback again, coffee and food.
Drink, yeah.
And the thing is, I was sat thinking, when the event was on, I was up there and I was like looking down on it all. And I'm thinking, how do we get more spectators in? And I was thinking about things like challenges and this, that, and the other. And I think they're good for people that are already there. But if you said to me, will you come and watch me do this competition? And I was like, no, I can't be arsed. And you were like, well, there's a plank challenge. But you know what? I'm going to come. There's a plank challenge. So I think...
What if I said there was a biker challenge and you could win something?
Then, I don't know. Like, I still probably wouldn't. Like, it's one of the... I just think stuff like that's great when you're there because it's something to do, but it doesn't make you go there. So I'm open to even more suggestions because we'd love to get more spectators through the door. But I think the problem with spectators, and I've seen it over the years just because of my... being on the road with the Defiant Games for so long, the more and more competitions that came along, the less spectators came because they were probably bored of watching the same people compete in similar workouts over and over again. And there's just one every week. So after a while, it does have a shelf life. So I think that's always a challenge. Like I was thinking what if you got some live music in and stuff like that? But then the cost associated with that versus not charging for the spectators and just getting them through the door doesn't match up. And I think it's a challenge. We'll have a think, and what we're going to do is prioritize our athletes and the people that they currently bring and do what we can to make their days better. And if that means that more people come along, then great. Like that.
Okay. Would a kids area be useful? Most people said yes. There's one that said kids aren't useful, which I really enjoyed.
Concur.
But that not ideal when they're running on the tracks. But apart from that, we had one on the tracks, didn't we?
We looked at it this year, and the only reason we didn't do it in the end, which it's not a poor us story, because if you run an event and it don't make money, then you're an idiot. Because why are you doing it? But when the venue put their costs up, like almost doubled our price from last year, it just meant that little bit of fat we had to play with disappeared, and the kids area that we'd looked at, we'd even got quotes from some local kids club type things, don't we, like bouncy castles, face painting and all that. So we will be looking at that for next year 100%, because I loved it. I know it sounds like lame, but like when I was sat on my little perch watching everything, there's some kids running and racing each other around track because we'd finished with the track, and it was just nice to see. So if they had somewhere. And even if I think like if we did do that, we'd maybe set it up a bit like a little sports day thing for them, because they're clearly invested. The parents are like sort of active. They'd love that sort of thing. So maybe some little kids races or something, like just a little bit of fun like that would be really cool.
Everything else was additional comments, and everyone was basically just saying thank you. They feel like they got value for money in comparison to other events. Great venue, great day, great event. We'll be back next year. If you want spectators, you need competitors in and out in a couple of hours. Appreciate all your hard work. Apart from the rep standards, agreeing on standards. Yeah, so all in all, I think the feedback was very, very positive. And we always really appreciate when people leave it, because that's the only way we can know on how we can improve. And even if it is a small idea or a small, as you can see, a repeatable thing, then you know that more than one person is doing it. And that's why we leave it anonymous. So we can see
although one person did sign the name because they must have been really happy with it. Thank you, Alex.
Where
is it?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Cute. I want a kiss. But no, smashed it.
Yeah.
2026, bring it on.
Let's go.